Okay, I want you to picture a scenario. It's Monday morning. You walk into the office, or, maybe you're logging onto that first Zoom call of the week,
Hmm.
and there is this massive announcement. The company is launching a, quote, game-changing new initiative. Maybe it's a shiny new software platform that's going to solve all our problems.
Or a totally revamped safety protocol. I've seen that one a few times.
Right, and the energy, the energy is always so high on day one.
Oh, it's electric, isn't it?
It really is. There's a town hall, there's a sleek animated PowerPoint. You might even get like branded stress balls or cupcakes in the break room.
The CEO looks thrilled. Everyone's nodding along.
Everyone is nodding enthusiastically,
Yeah.
but then you fast forward 3 months.
And then comes the silence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The silence, that login page for the game-changing software, it's just gathering digital dust.
And the safety protocol binder is propping up a wobbly monitor or something.
Yes. And everyone, literally everyone, has just quietly gone back to doing things exactly the way they did them before. Why does that happen?
It is the classic corporate mystery. The initiative that starts with a huge bang and just ends with a whimper. It's incredibly common.
And incredibly expensive, I imagine. It feels like this sort of organizational amnesia.
It is.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we're unpacking today.
We are doing a deep dive into a guide called Designing a Change Management Program, Best Practices for Embedding Strategic Initiatives Across Operations and Staff, which was published by Greystride.
And that one word in the title, embedding, is doing a lot of the heavy lifting here.
It really is, because my assumption has always been that change management is just, corporate jargon for send a lot of emails until people give up.
Yeah, the brute force approach.
But looking at this, I had a bit of an aha moment. It turns out getting people to change isn't about charisma or good vibes or even willpower. It's almost like a structural engineering problem, but for human behavior.
That is a perfect way to frame it. I mean, what Greystride is getting at here is that these big initiatives often land very unevenly. So you might have a new process that's thriving in one department. Maybe finance loves the new reporting tool, but it's completely fizzling out over in operations.
So the goal of this deep dive isn't to talk about the theory of change. We're not getting philosophical.
No, not at all. We want to look at the mechanics. How do you actually move from flavor of the month to this is just how we do things now?
How do you make it stick? Okay, so let's unpack this. The source lays it out in a really logical flow, almost like a life cycle. And it starts before you even announce anything. Phase 1, the setup.
Correct. And the very first step is clarifying the strategic vision.
Which, to be honest, sounds like the most generic business advice ever. Have a vision. Who doesn't have a vision? We want to be better. Done.
If only it were that easy. The source argues that those abstract goals are actually the first trap. Telling your team to be more efficient or collaborate more is, well, it's essentially useless.
It's too vague.
It's too vague to act on. If I tell you to be more innovative tomorrow morning, what do you actually do?
I stare at my screen and panic.
Exactly. So Greystride says you need concrete, measurable objectives. They give examples like aiming for a specific 15% improvement in on-time deliveries.
Okay, that's something you can actually measure.
Right. Or establishing a streamlined approval process. But, and this is where it gets really interesting, you have to go a step further. You have to translate that strategy into behavior.
Translate strategy into behavior. That sounds crucial. What does that look like in the real world?
Well, it means taking that 15% improvement goal and asking, what does a person physically need to do differently on a Tuesday morning to make that happen?
Okay.
You don't tell a driver to optimize the supply chain. I mean, that means nothing to them in the moment. You tell them, complete the daily check-in form before you turn the key.
Ah, I see.
You don't tell a manager to improve oversight. You tell them, open the new reporting dashboard at 9 a.m. every single day.
You're turning a high-level corporate wish into a literal to-do list item.
You're removing the ambiguity. You're defining the habit.
I love that. It takes all the corporate speak out of it. So instead of worrying about synergy, I just know I need to fill out the dashboard. It makes it a tangible action.
Precisely. But, even if you have the clearest behaviors in the world, they won't stick if the leadership is invisible.
Right.
And that's the second part of the setup. Secure, visible leadership commitment.
This is the whole walk the walk part, isn't it?
It is. Of course, it's very clear on this.
Yeah.
People follow actions, not words. It's not enough for the CEO to just send that big launch email we talked about.
No.
Leaders need to be seen championing the change.
And the source mentions some specific ways to do this, right? It's not just sitting in the corner office and, waiting for reports.
Not at all. It talks about addressing teams in town halls, sure, but also smaller, more potent actions like dropping in on pilot projects.
Ooh, yeah.
I mean, can you imagine the impact of the CEO showing up to a pilot test of a new warehouse system, wearing the safety vest, asking genuine questions?
Huh.
It just signals, this matters to me.
And they also mention appointing an executive sponsor.
Yes, which is critical.
Huh.
Someone with the actual authority to allocate resources, to smash through roadblocks.
Yeah.
But it also trickles down. Department heads have to model the behavior.
Right.
If the boss ignores the new safety check or, bypasses the new approval system because it's inconvenient for them.
Then everyone else gets permission to ignore it too. It's the shadow of the leader. If you don't do it, I'm not going to do it.
Exactly. If the boss thinks the new software is a hassle, the team will think it's optional.
Okay, so we've got the vision translated into behavior, and we've got the bosses actually acting the part. Now we move to phase 2, the people side. This is where things usually get messy, right?
This is where they get messy. Because people don't like being told what to do.
No.
That's the fundamental psychology at play here. Change that happens to people triggers resistance.
Yeah.
It feels like an imposition.
A penalty, even.
Yes, a
Yeah.
penalty. To make it work, the change needs to happen with them.
So how do we make that shift from to with that?
Well, step 3 is to engage stakeholders early. And I mean really early. Before decisions are final, you need to map out everyone who's going to be impacted, from the frontline operators driving the trucks to the back office staff who process the invoices.
And the source makes a really specific, interesting point here about listening, particularly mentioning South Africa.
It does. It talks about running focus sessions and surveys, but it specifically highlights the context of South Africa's diverse workplace environments. The point is that understanding local challenges is critical.
What does that mean exactly?
Well, you have cultural diversity, language diversity, different operational realities. You can't just design a solution in a boardroom in Sandton and expect it to work perfectly in a depot in a rural province.
That makes so much sense. What works at headquarters might be a total disaster at a remote site because the internet is slow or their workflow is just different.
Exactly. And the best way to bridge that gap is what they call co-creation. You actually invite those staff members to design workshops.
Let them help shape it.
Let them help shape the training materials or the very forms they'll be using.
That sounds a little risky, though. I mean, isn't that just opening the door for everyone to complain and nitpick?
You'd think so, but it's actually the opposite. If a driver helps design the new checklist, they aren't going to roll their eyes at it later.
They have ownership.
They become an owner of that process, not a skeptic. They
Yeah.
can say, hey, I helped build this and I made sure it actually makes sense.
They built it, so they bought it.
Right. And once you have those early adopters, those people who are engaged, you can then leverage them for step 4, building a network of champions.
I love this idea. It feels a bit like a Trojan horse strategy. You can't be everywhere at once to enforce the new rules, so you plant people on the inside.
That's a dramatic way to put it. But yes,
Yeah.
you need a network of change champions. And importantly, these aren't necessarily managers.
No.
They're just individuals who are respected by their peers.
Yeah.
The people others look to for cues.
The influencers of the break room.
Exactly. You identify them, but then you have to equip them. You can't just give them a title. The source suggests giving them actual talking points, FAQs, even data dashboards.
So they can answer questions on the spot.
They need to be able to answer their colleagues' questions in the moment,
Yeah.
because that is where the magic happens, right? Not in the formal meeting.
It's what the source calls the corridor chat.
Yes. Or the toolbox talk. When someone grumbles, ugh, why do we have to use this new system? Oh, you want your champion standing right there, armed with the answer.
Saying, actually, look, it saves us about 20 minutes of paperwork at the end of the shift.
Exactly. That peer-to-peer influence is infinitely more powerful than some memo from HR. It cuts through the skepticism because it's coming from one of us.
Absolutely.
And the source mentions we should be recognizing these people too.
Yeah.
Public shout-outs, a simple thank you. It keeps them motivated. They're doing the heavy lifting of culture change, often on top of their day jobs.
Okay, so we've got our army of champions. We have the who. Now we need to talk about the how. Phase 3, tactics. How do we actually communicate and train people without, boring them to tears?
Well, step 5 is tailored communication. And the big headline here is just one size fails.
So the generic Dear All email is dead. Is that what you're telling me?
You can use it for general awareness, I suppose, but it won't drive behavior. You have to segment your audience. Greystride gives a really great breakdown here. You have to think about what different groups care about.
The what's in it for me factor.
Precisely. Your operations teams. They care about reducing downtime. They don't want a new system to slow them down.
So your message is all about speed and efficiency.
Exactly. Your finance team, they care about ROI and cost savings. Your HR and union reps, they care about job security and upskilling.
So you're selling the same car, but you're pitching the safety features to one person and the gas mileage to another.
That's a perfect analogy. You have to mix up the channels. Don't just rely on email. Use toolbox talks at the depots. Use online videos. Put posters up in common areas. You have to sort of surround them with the message so it becomes unavoidable.
And that leads right into training. Step 6. And please tell me the source says we can just burn the 100-slide PowerPoint decks.
Essentially, yes. Classroom sessions just aren't enough. The source advocates for hands-on training.
Which means?
Get out of the conference room. Do on-the-job walkthroughs in the actual work environment. Show them how the new tool works while they're standing right where they actually work.
That is so much more effective. I can't tell you how many times I've learned some new software in a training room, walked back to my desk, and immediately forgotten everything because the context was different.
It happens to all of us.
Yeah.
Context is memory.
Sure.
That's why they also suggest things like mobile-friendly cheat sheets or quick reference guides. Just short, simple reminders.
Things you can pull up on your phone.
Exactly. And going back to our champions, having that peer-to-peer coaching helps. Early adopters coaching their colleagues. It creates a support network so people aren't just stuck waiting for IT to call them back.
It prevents that frustration that leads to people just giving up, that I can't figure this out, I'm just going to do it the old way.
You want to remove every single barrier to adoption.
Okay, so we've engaged the people, we've trained them properly, but here's where it gets really interesting for me. Phase 4, locking it in. Because even with the best training, people slide back. Old habits are so hard to break. How do we stop the slide?
This is arguably the most technical, but also the most crucial part of the source material.
That's step 7.
Embed into systems. The goal is to make the change built in rather than bolted on.
Built in versus bolted on. What's the difference there?
Well, bolted on is relying on memory. It's saying, please remember to follow this. A port built in is changing the environment, so you have to do it.
Okay, give me an example.
The source mentions updating your standard operating procedures immediately, which is, basic. But then it talks about the digital nudge.
The digital nudge.
For example, imagine a transport management system. You can actually configure the software so that a driver literally cannot proceed to the next step of a delivery until a specific field is completed.
Oh, I see. It's a force function. The next button just stays grayed out until you do the thing.
Yes. You aren't asking them to remember. You are making it impossible for them to forget. You reduce the reliance on goodwill or memory. You're designing the compliance into the workflow itself.
That is so smart. It's like you don't tell people to drive slower, you put in a speed bump.
Exactly. And along with that, you align your KPIs, your key performance indicators, to these new goals.
Right.
If you tell people to focus on quality, but you only bonus them on speed, they will choose speed every single time. People are rational. They do what they're paid to do.
So you have to align the incentives with the new behavior.
You have to. So the system forces the behavior, and the paycheck rewards the behavior. That is a powerful combination.
It really is. It creates a whole new ecosystem where the new way is the only logical way to operate.
And that leads to the final step, step 8. Monitor and celebrate.
And this isn't just looking at the bottom line at the end of the year, is it?
No, that's way too late. You need what they call leading indicators. Don't wait for the final sales numbers. Look for the early signs.
Like what?
Are people actually completing the training? How many discussions are the champions having? You're checking the pulse of the change itself.
And the source suggests using a monthly scorecard.
Yeah, even just a one-pager to keep everyone aligned. And crucially, you have to use storytelling. Highlight the success stories.
Like, hey, the depot in Durban used the new system and they got home an hour early.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
Or this supervisor's coaching made a real difference. When you celebrate those wins, you prove that the pain of change was worth it. It creates social proof that the new way is actually better.
It all circles back to the beginning and making it visible.
It does. It all connects.
So let's just recap this journey because there are a lot of moving parts here. We start by clarifying the vision translating strategy into specific behaviors.
Then we secure visible leadership bosses who actually do the work.
Then we engage stakeholders early listening to local challenges, especially in diverse environments like South Africa. We build that network of champions.
The Trojan horse of influence.
We tailor our communication, We do hands-on, real-world training. We embed the change into the systems with those digital nudges.
And finally, we monitor and celebrate the wins along the way.
It sounds like a lot of work.
It is a lot of work, but the alternative is all that wasted investment we talked about at the start. And the source concludes with a bit of a reality check. This is not a one-off project, it's an ongoing journey.
Right. You don't just do change management on a Tuesday and then you're finished on Friday.
No. And this, I think, leads to the so what for everyone listening. Whether you're a CEO running a massive company or a team lead trying to get 5 people to use a new spreadsheet, your ability to influence behavior is your ability to succeed.
That's a great point.
You can have the best strategy in the world, the best software, the best equipment. But if you can't get humans to change what they do with their hands and minds every day,
Yeah.
that strategy is just a piece of paper.
It really redefines the role of a leader, doesn't it? It's not just about having the big ideas. It's about being an architect of habits.
Being an architect is habits. I like that.
I want to leave everyone with a thought here, building on that. We talked about digital nudges and built-in systems. It makes me wonder about our own management styles.
Mm-hmm.
If you're listening to this and you feel frustrated that your team isn't doing what you want, ask yourself, are you designing systems or are you just nagging?
That is the provocative question, isn't it?
Because if you're still relying on reminders and willpower, you haven't actually designed a change program yet. True change management is when the new way becomes the only way, because the environment makes the old way impossible.
It removes the option to fail.
Exactly. So stop nagging and start designing. That's it for this deep dive into Greystride's guide on change management. We hope you walked away with a few new tools for your toolbox.
Thanks for listening.
We'll catch you next time.